speaking of new fancy things, I actually have, here's the debut on the show. So I posted on Patreon. We now have the ability where people that are on Patreon can we post a link once in a while instead of writing the question for a Q&A episode or comment or whatever. Now you can leave a voice note and we can answer it. And this is the debut of it from the show. You want to hear a voice note?
Our
for
first
the birthday?
VM.
We got new cameras. We got new features.
VN.
And this is
Whoops. VM is virtual machine.
Thanks to Anchor.fm is they're owned by Spotify, and they reached out to us because our stuff is so high quality with visually that we're still one of the only podcasts on all of Spotify that has video, which is crazy.
Yeah, Rogan is still shooting at 480p. We're the only 4K boys in town.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And so fortunate. And so, but they don't just, so that's Spotify, but it has a bunch of different features for all platforms. So we're not exclusive. It's just it's not like, no one's paying anyone or anything like that.
Unfortunately, believe me, we would love for anyone to be paying us.
Yeah. Terrorists, whoever. But they have, but anyway, they just have a bunch of awesome features, and so we're thrilled. So here's the first ever voice note on Mom, and if you want to leave we've screened it, right? Comment,
it's not bad.
Check on. Yeah, I screened it.
Okay, good.
If you want to leave a comment or whatever, and by the way, everyone's phone has varying qualities. So this first one is, medium quality, and then we're going to hear some that are really great, crisp quality as well. But
brace yourselves is what you're trying to say.
Brace yourselves.
Yeah, you're used to first class audio in your ears right now. Crisp, buttery, high fidelity sound. And now you're going to go back to 1998. So here we go.
Hey, Shane and Ramin. This is Tony. I had participated in the focus group with you guys and the other mummies about a week ago. Was thinking about your 1-year anniversary. Was wondering what you guys thought about where you were now after a year, where you thought you were going to be when you started this out, what hopes you had for the podcast, what direction you thought it would go in as compared to the direction it's gone in. The growth of the community seems to be kind of exploding right now. I signed up for Patreon about a month ago. There were 190 Patreons. I checked this morning. There are 237. So I was just curious to hear what you guys thought about how much you've grown and where it's going and where you want it to go and what you hope for the future.
Nice. Yeah, that's like a question we planted or something, but it's not. It just feels like one we would want to be asked. But that just shows.
I screened the questions.
Oh, okay.
there were some that got left out for sure.
Have you ever had sex on LSD? And what is it like doing psychedelics such as DMT? Do you have any more stories?
That's a very good guess.
Yeah,
that's a very good guess.
I'll tell you stories. I'll just make stuff up. I'll use it as an exercise to make up creative writing on the spot. Freestyling.
People just did some random stuff too. It was I encourage experimentation. Just sometimes not everyone's stuff is going to make the cut. but yeah. So I mean we covered a little bit of that already. What do you think? Is Yosh playing with your background?
Yeah. I wish you could see his entrance. That was great. Hey, bud. Yeah, I left the door open because I knew he was going to meow at the door and I would have to get up and pause and stuff. So I just left the door a crack open. So then he just pushes it with his nose and then you saw the curtain jiggle and then he made his grand entrance. So he's here for the answer of the Q&A, which is, would you like to go first or should I? Or should we break it up into pros and cons? Like what are some places where we overachieved our expectations and where are some places we fell short?
Yeah, I think that's like the general gist.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I had no expectations of financially or listenership. So we've overachieved there. I never thought like, oh, okay, by this time next year, we'll probably be making da-da-da. It just never occurred to me. I was like, it'll be cool if in a year from now, we're still doing it. And if the production quality is raised and if we still have the magic and we're still not like just repeating old patterns, if we're doing new stuff, discovering new things, growing the world, that's what makes me happy about it. Because I know that if I just have financial expectations, I'm going to be disappointed because I'm always disappointed by my financial expectations of the year. Every time I've tried to do that, it's just been no bueno.
Yeah. It's been nice just to have time to build. I had financial goals and listenership goals, which we definitely fell short of, but that's only because I had high ambition. It was the goal that I sent. It wasn't exactly, we had numbers in mind.
Yeah, you shot
but
for
it
the
wasn't
moon.
exactly what I thought was going to happen. It wasn't like, this is what I'm expecting to have happen. It was just what I was hoping would happen.
And
so I would say that we did pretty well.
And I was coming at it from at the time when we started, it was 2021. So this is post ultimate, postmodern oversaturation internet landscape. So how could I have any expectations of anything, any drop in the bucket making any sort of wave? So the fact that we've grown as much as we have is really, really cool.
Yeah.
We have over a dozen listeners now. That's amazing.
We have less listeners than I thought maybe we would have by now, especially because the early indications we have big jumps early on. But it's tricky because it's like, oh, you got to get on enough podcasts. I'm not in LA. That's just a never ending battle of figuring that out. The number of people that we have on Patreon per listener is pretty decent. And then our Patreon retention, once people are there, is killer. And our Patreon supporters are like super generous and everything else. And that was one of the things from the focus group where lots of people were like, why aren't you just telling people that they get their own episode for $5?
We never thought of it that way because we never thought about, I don't remember if the original Mind Under Arts had like, we were plugging their Instagram handles and stuff. We never planned to do that, but we were like, oh yeah, why don't we give them a little shout out here? Why don't we show their page on the video? And then it grew into like, oh, they're basically getting their own episode when they choose a piece of art for us to talk about. And
and we also just decided on the focus group, running it by everyone, we decided that that episode is yours. If we made an art episode for you, you get to share it with your friends, even post it on social media, whatever, because that episode's yours. So you can do whatever you like with it. And that's something that, like, early on we were like, but if you didn't pay and get behind the paywall, how do we figure out to keep everything locked up behind the paywall and do that? And like, but if it's their episode, they should get to. So that was a thing that we just changed for season 2. So I like tweaking things. It's a bunch of stuff that probably the average listener, especially if you've never heard this show before, and this is the first one that you're tuning into.
Oh, like, terrible choice.
It's just about terrible choice. It's just about the show itself, turning one and reflecting on the year.
Yeah, we better inject some pop culture fast, or we're going to lose the first time listeners who picked this as the first one. So Machine Gun Kelly had gay sex with Kanye last week.
You don't say.
And there's not a video of it, but the audio is very convincing. And I think I applaud them both. I think it's great.
I think that I am so thrilled that our show is evergreen and that we don't talk about the TMZ news of the day and this
at our own detriment.
At our own detriment, but our own mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but it's not just it's not just about building an audience. It's about building your audience that you want, that likes what you are interested in saying, that gets who you are, that's going to be interested in like coming to a festival, or if you make a book or whatever else. That's the people that we're after anyway. We're never it's just, we're not going to be the Perez Hilton or
if he's still around.